Hello, everybody. Today is April 13th. This is episode 14 of Talk Story. I'm Brad Wells, and this is...
I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I'm Christian de la Iglesia, First Surf Shop, Division Wynwood.
Yeah, you're getting good at this.
You know.
And we've got a special guest here with us today. This is...
Miguel Gonzalez, also known as Michael Gonzalez and Mike Gonzalez and Mike.
That is the struggle of living in Miami. Oh my goodness, that is the struggle.
Mike, Mikey, Michael,
Yeah,
Whatever.
all of it.
Gonzo, Gonzalez.
Gonzo, Gonzalez, I'll go with all those, yeah.
We are live. Yeah, if you haven't figured this out, you are live
Hey,
here
you.
from South Beach in Miami, Florida. We invite you guys to join us on Instagram. We're on YouTube, ThankYouSurfing.com. If you guys subscribe and you follow and all these kinds of things, it makes life better for you and me. So do
and
that.
us. And we're going to cheers you out there in the world
Yeah,
with
to-
our
to you
coffee
guys.
mugs.
This is a surf community, and it's really about you guys. And come on,
Us.
Cheers.
There we go.
there you go. You guys want to get in?
All right, fine.
Boom.
We'll do that. Boom.
Nice. And sip, sip.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget the sip. Look in your eyes.
I am very superstitious.
Look in
Caleb,
your
we
eyes.
see you over
Look
there.
at- Look in your eyes.
Yeah, that's another thing we want to say is thank you to Caleb for doing all this audio and visual. Guys killing it. It's way better now than it ever has been.
I can
Ever has
talk
been.
from off camera now too. Check
Oh,
this out.
wow. Check him out. That was a surprise.
I mean,
nice.
I feel so Jimmy Fallon-esque. Like, I
wow,
feel
this
like
is
that-
so cool. I
off
don't
in
even
the
know.
distance.
I mean,
I
that
mean,
sounds
what
like
do
we have like all kinds of new opportunities to do stuff with that. I'm gonna have to figure that
Wish I
one
would have
out.
known this in advance.
I can
know.
Google
Much more
stuff from over
prepared.
here if you get
Yeah,
in
you can
arguments.
Google stuff. You can get like an off-site resource. Phone a friend, basically.
Phone a friend.
Wow. Cool. So let's-
Bradley, it is Friday the 13th.
Yeah. So what?
Are you superstitious?
I'm OCD. And
And
I'm just
conversation's over.
so,
So
Yeah.
does that mean you are? You're not? I mean, does it mean anything to you?
if you give me enough meaning for Friday the 13th, I will put it into my realm of
Yeah,
OCD.
I mean, that's
and
just
I'll
about
start
everything
freaking out
else.
about
You're
it
just
too.
like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I just put any sort of meaning into this and boom.
I cannot leave my house without going back like at least twice.
This is super, really?
Yeah.
In general?
In general.
Every time you leave?
It's
Yeah.
annoying.
Really?
It's
It's,
terrible.
annoying.
It's
It's
terrible.
annoying.
It's
I've been
terrible.
there.
We're good friends, so he knows.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
The candle's always on when he
Yeah,
leaves.
I didn't
Yeah.
know
And the
that.
coffee maker's always on. There's
Yes,
just-
I remember you having this dilemma once we were going up coast. You learn things new and new every week. This is beautiful.
You can't hide it.
Bradley, roll us into this week.
All right, so we are coming into our weekly happenings. Some cool stuff's happening on ThankYouSurfing.com. I have I got an intern. I have a girl that I work with, Emily, that's been doing some really cool stuff. She's been working on a whole e-commerce side to Thank You Surfing.
Sick.
We have mugs that we've been doing as like a kind of prototype. I made a couple T-shirts
Nice.
and stickers, pins, all that kind of stuff.
Any feedback?
Yeah, people like it, so I was like, all right, I need to actually step up my game and make these available. So if people actually want to get them for themselves, they can do that via the website. I got a whole bunch of other ideas about what I can do with this. I want to do collaborations with other artists and photographers and all this other kind of stuff.
Sick.
So we'll see what happens with that. But I guess look for
Love
that as soon as Emily is done with it. I have put it into our little project plan, and we'll see. We'll see what comes out the other end.
Well, it works out because I feel like Thank You Surfing is such an easy word, like easy pairing of words to roll off your tongue here. And what you represent, I think it's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I've had a lot of fun doing it. And
Cheers to that.
Cheers. I'll do that again.
Cheers.
All right.
God bless
Is
all
that what we're
around.
doing?
Bless
Oh
all
my
around.
God, I keep on-
You got to get
I'm
better
writing
with that
down, yeah.
microphone here, Mike.
Mike, are we
Fine.
coming in?
Salud, yes.
All right.
Come
Just
through.
checking. Making sure this guy-
Other weekly happenings
Wow.
outside of Thank You Surfing realm, some pretty cool stuff happening in Miami Beach. We have a skate park that is just opened up. Oh my goodness, finally.
Finally.
I mean,
It's been easily 6 years plus.
I know that I talked about it with Mark, and it was years before I even got involved with the initiative. And so I'm going like 10 years easy that people have been lobbying for a park. that we actually got funds set aside for a skateboard park.
How does it take 10 years? Seriously. Like, we're
No,
in
where's
an
that at?
international city. It's not as if it's like, oh, we're in the middle of the country. Nobody knows what skateboarding is.
No, they know
well,
what it
then
is.
again, everybody in the middle of the country probably knows skateboarding more than
Yeah.
No, I mean, the thing is that everybody knew that we wanted it. The residents wanted it.
And they had money sitting inside. There's 400
money,
grand.
But the problem was that no one wanted it next to them.
Yeah.
It's,
Seriously.
It's a non-stop issue that we run into, especially here in Miami Beach.
Not in my front yard.
Backyard. Yeah,
Whatever.
you know, you can change it, but
Where's it at now?
it is going to be here on Miami Beach at 82nd Street and Collins.
Yep.
Apparently, this is a temporary park.
But it is a pretty decent park for a
Yeah,
temp park.
totally
It's got-
skatable.
it's got rails. It's mostly concrete.
There's a
it's
big
not,
hip.
Right, and there's not a bit. It's not like a push park. You know?
Yeah, so it's actually a skatable skate park on Miami Beach for the first time. And I know it's
I
not.
just don't understand the temp part.
Yeah, so I mean, my feeling is, I think we went into this a little bit
Right.
like the other day when I was talking about buying olives at Publix and how I think you should support what you like. So if you like skateboarding, go use the park.
you should buy
Show
olives.
people that they did the right decision by putting in a skate park by using it.
Right.
And when there is that like consumption of the product,
Like so much usage that there's like everybody everywhere. They're like, oh, I wish I had a bigger park.
right. And so the next time that they go to market with an idea, they'll
Right.
say, we've already had so much positive feedback. Everyone's loving it. And if you just sit at home and like sit on your couch, I mean, no one's going to know that you like skateboarding and you're going to be
What
not
about
helping
Yeah.
get another skate park at all.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Off camera, we just had a minor technical difficulty. A cell
Our-
phone was dropped. It looked like two times. There may have been a third bounce on the first drop.
Our $6 million operation over here is
It's
like
okay, it's already
teetering
broken.
on
Don't
some
worry.
duct tape
yeah,
and paper clips.
We got the cheap duct tape today, and the adhesive must have come off. What other weekly happenings do you have, Chris?
Well, tonight, probably currently happening at this moment because we're only an hour and a half late, is that we are having an event over at Division Wynwood.
Uh-huh.
Which is something I am part of with one Ami James and a tattoo shop called Liberty City Tattoos.
Cool.
Some might know Ami from Miami Ink, Love Hate fame of back in the Dizzle.
yeah.
And so every Friday we have a little thing called Mystery Tattoo.
So
And
they can either tune into that,
or you can,
tune into this now
this
or
is way
later.
more exciting. Sorry, Ami.
Oh gosh, I
I'm
mean,
not
I don't
really-
want to pick that fight.
No, I know,
But
but,
the thing is-
we'll bring them on here one time and then we'll
Yeah,
go
so you
segue
can
into it.
look, check us out real now, and then if you like what you see,
Well, listen, at 9 p.m.
check out Ami and all the guys, and then
Yeah.
we'll put this on the blog tomorrow so you can watch this. You know,
If you happen to be on Facebook, check out Facebook Live of the tattoo shop.
There you go.
And you'll go ahead and see that starting at about 9 p.m.
Sweet.
in probably roughly like 30 seconds. I'm just kidding. I don't know what time it is.
Miguel, do you have any weekly happenings that you would like to bring up?
I don't know. I mean, I could say that we haven't had much surf lately, right? We did have some this week. I did get to go out.
You actually did a segue.
Did I really?
Not
Yeah.
even knowing it.
Wow.
Not
He's
even
good
knowing
at
it,
this.
just like
He's-
that,
Yeah,
right?
we're coming right into our
Yes.
reports and forecast section
Oh my
of
God.
the show.
So yeah, it was an exciting week. We had what, one day, maybe one day.
What
Oh,
day
sir.
was it? Because I feel like it's just been
I
like
would say we
yesterday.
had maybe one day of a north swell
Yeah.
this week. There
Yeah, that
was
was
a
earlier this
trace.
remote.
We had a little bit of a trace, and then it came up, and I want to say this was on Tuesday, into more than rideable range at the same time the wind came. So
Yeah, definitely got very windy.
Yeah.
we had some swell, but we had some wind at the same time, so not an ideal setup for us in terms of great conditions, but it's
Well-
totally rideable.
We got some surf coming up this weekend. I saw some
do.
wind swells.
So we're going
some
from
little
right from the
wind
report
chop.
right into the forecast.
listen,
I got
we are-
segues. This is like pinballing off segues.
That's how we do it.
Dude, that's why we get paid the big
Bing,
bucks.
bang,
That's how we do it. That's how we
boom,
do it.
Boom. Boom.
Yeah, we do. The high pressure off the coast here is going to elevate our southeast wind swell. We're coming into like the springtime sort of pattern here.
Anything to do with that big low that's coming across is creating a little snow for our friends up in the north?
Yeah, I mean
Does that low push into that high and kind of
all that swell is. I wish it's that all that swell is going to head to the Europe.
Right.
So we got really nothing going on there. It's just like this big high is going to block anything from coming south as far as the low goes. But it's enough of a high, oddly, that we get some trade swell.
Not
So
so
it's
odd at
like
all.
good news, bad news sort of situation.
I
Good
mean,
news, bad news, good news.
I remember over the years that April has been an okay month. Like we've always had some surf during April.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We got these like wind swell days, and it's crap for most people in terms of surf, but for us, it's like bread and butter. And so you look at it, especially when it comes out of the east southeast, it cleans up a little bit coming around the south end of the jetty.
So after having such a phenomenal March, does that hurt us in April?
No, actually, we're still in kind of like almost a winter transition, not a springtime pattern yet. So I think we still have a chance for another north swell.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's still a
There's
chance.
a
We
chance.
still haven't gone like into complete Bermuda high blocking
Right.
sort of pattern, but it's happening soon. So,
I mean,
you know.
kind of like highlights a lot of what we are discussing tonight. The
Another
fact-
segue.
Listen,
So-
I almost feel like we
so
should
I
have
guess
like
I-
a
let me-
drinking moment every
just
time there's a
move it.
segue.
Let me-
It's like another segue. Oh.
You're moving too fast though. So I mean, Saturday we're not going to have too much in the way of wind. So maybe a little bit of southeast dribble. Sunday the wind looks like it comes up a bit,
Yes.
and into Monday. So we actually have a much better chance for waves. For a little Sunday fun day.
Well, I'll be out there.
Yeah, I mean
I'm
it's not going to be
excited.
fantastic or anything, but looks like very rideable.
I'll take whatever.
At this point of the year,
And then
that's like the common thing. I was like, I'll take whatever.
Take
yeah,
whatever.
totes. So next week,
Just get wet.
not looking so good.
No,
No.
nothing.
So
Up coast
get
either?
it this weekend.
Up coast.
Yeah, I mean you're always going to have a little bit more of the trade swell on these, but for people like me, I mean I don't like to drive up when it's going to be not great conditions.
Right.
So if it's going to be rather small and maybe not great conditions, I won't make the trip. But it'll be totally surfable.
Should we
Way
introduce
more surf.
an desperation surf report? Like it's one of those, like if you really are going for like what it takes to be able to enjoy the surf, that's probably no bueno. If you're desperate,
Oh yeah, there's a whole other sort of calibration.
Got it.
that occurs. You know, when the seasons change, you're like, oh, need a waist high, Fort Pierce. It's like 2 hours from here. I'm totally going.
Your expectations and your standards kind of come down a little bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's happening. But that brings us,
God.
I think maybe let's segue now into our first topic for the night, which is the work surf balance. How do you manage being a surfer in a place that has flat spells, that has seasonality to it? You know, like what?
well,
So,
I mean,
what keeps you sane?
I mean, there's different types of work out there, right? And there's different types of approaches according to the type of work that you do, right? So
So I have
we'll
to. I'll start with. I'm the corporate guy, right? I'm the weekend warrior, the after work special. You know, after 5 p.m.
It's
before
kind of
6
how
a.m.
you're here now, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you came,
Yeah,
you came to
dude.
come check the surf. You weren't even going to be on the show tonight.
No,
and
no.
you're like, hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And we started talking. You're like, oh, this is what we're talking about. And you're like, oh, I came to check out the surf. You're like, you're probably a prime candidate for this
And now I'm on the
situation.
payroll. It's fantastic. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, but absolutely. Like, you know, it's one of those things where I think I work for an amazing place, right?
Right.
Corporate place, absolutely fantastic. They've understood the fact that my priority is surf, right? So what happens is during the winter times, I end up coming into work a little bit later, right? Or a little bit earlier, depending on the surf, right? So if I see that the waves are going to be going on in the morning, the conditions are going to be good in the morning, I will come in late and they won't even ask me questions about it.
Wow.
Right? I'll end up working late. They won't even ask questions. Now, if I feel like I need to come in at maybe 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, work till like maybe 2 in the afternoon until noon, they give me that liberty. I can end up doing all my work and coming in, right?
So wait, how did you set up that sort of situation to begin
That's
with?
like a dream job.
Okay, so what ends up happening is you end up having to work a lot more and over proving yourself so that your
That's the
employer
key to
loves
it.
you that much
Right.
more, right?
Create your value.
Exactly, right? So you end up doing so much more work, and I don't mind overworking whenever there's no surf, right?
Right.
So coming into the summer, either we go on a trip, right, or you work because there's nothing else to do,
Right.
right?
That's true.
Or you go hang out on the beach, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you can still do that during the weekends, right? You don't have to like take off time,
Right.
right? But during the times that you want to surf, you want to have that liberty, so you don't want your boss giving you a hard time. So what happens is you double work during the time that there's no surf,
Just
right?
make sure that you're valuable, so that
They
when
love
like
it.
a small favor comes up, like, hey, I'm gonna change my schedule just slightly tomorrow.
Yep.
They're like, it doesn't
I mean,
even
but
bother me.
I mean, that's kind of an awesome
It
thing,
doesn't-
though, that if that you're a part of a work culture that kind of like helps each other out, that understands
I think
this.
he's figured that out. I think that he's fostered that for
Right, because
himself.
that can't be
It's taken a long time. I
right.
mean, and you got to take some risks, you know, and make sure you end up at a place where you're happy.
Right.
Right. Because if you're chasing money at the end of the day and you're not happy, it's not worth it.
Right.
Because you're not going to enjoy your money. Right.
Right.
But if you end up making a couple bucks and you end up taking the time off and you can live a happy life, that's where you want to be at. And sometimes you just never stop till you get there. Right. You end up having to switch jobs a couple times. I went a couple times that I had to switch a few times to make sure I ended up at the place that I was happy. Right. Then
So
you
don't
can
settle.
surf. Then you can surf.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what it's all about. Right. The end of the game is not to, I mean, yeah, I like to work or whatever. I mean,
Right.
but if you ask me tomorrow, do I want to go into work? If I win the lottery, yeah, I'm not going to continue working. I'm going to surf every single day for the rest of my life. You know, live under a coconut tree down in Costa Rica or somewhere in Nicaragua or somewhere.
Well, if you won the lottery,
everywhere.
if
Yeah,
maybe not a
absolutely.
coconut
Yeah.
tree,
Then you don't have to,
that's
no,
on
I
your
don't need it.
house.
But see, that's the thing. You don't even need it. Right. But you want to be able to make sure you can live the rest of your life.
Sure.
That's the hard part. Right.
You only get one
Yeah,
time
that's the
around on this
balance
rock.
part.
There's one time around on this rock, and it's whether I mean, but you know what?
You have a
What-
so
how old
different
are we?
perspective on this because, all right, so this is something that I think is pretty interesting.
Right.
Is that surf shop owner?
Right.
You must be surfing all the time, bro. Oh man, you catch it every time it's good. You must go on trips every week, every time the swell is good. And then it's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I end up working the times that are probably the best out there. And
This is
that-
a reality
and-
that I think
and-
is so hard for
I
a
know.
surfer
That's
to
even
foresee.
worse. I think that's even worse.
I mean, I guess it's.
But it looks like the dream. Like,
well,
if Ben Gravy
listen,
was here,
it-
he'd be like,
honestly,
this is the dream.
Listen, it is a dream. I mean, I'm thankful that I've been able to
Yeah.
kind of be in the surf industry for the last almost 20 years, where I get to like talk with people and interact and be around surf clothing and surf culture and stuff. But I mean, yes, there's hard work that's involved
But it
to
is your
get to a
business,
certain point.
too.
Right,
It's your
exactly.
work.
And that's one thing when you're working for someone, it's like, oh, the paycheck comes, you know, and you know, you put yourself in a position where you're valuable, that they want to keep you. When it comes to like you own it and you're making it, it's just like, well, the business and its viability is contingent on how much effort you put in there and what you do and making the right decisions. And a lot of times it comes at your own expense, that you're saying, well,
I'm
it's
not going surfing.
Yeah, it's cranking out there. I got surf rentals going on. I got leashes that were flying out, and who's going to sell my shop better than me? And you're out there, you're doing it, and granted, you still get to go out there and enjoy it, but it's about enjoying it for what you do enjoy it. Fine, you don't get it at its best moment, and
Right.
you don't get it when it's cranking at the best part of the day, but you're out there and you're enjoying it. But
I think the other thing for me is like to hear you say that is, I'm like, oh, it's very deflating in a way. It's like those guys I feel like should get the opportunity to get out when it's best, but knowing that, you know, from a business perspective, you got to get while the getting's good. And,
Right.
But at the same time, you get to surf all these other times where it's kind of like crappy, but there's like a gem that comes through.
Right. And I mean,
you also get to work in surfing.
right.
You're like 6-foot leash, 7-foot leash.
Right. It's not that bad.
You
Right.
know,
No,
like, it's
absolutely.
it's a
well,
fun
fortunately for enough, our
business.
shop is just like a block, barely half a block away from the beach. So yes, those moments where all of a sudden things turn, you're able to catch it absolutely. But I think maybe I've gotten to a point in my life where seeing other people's enjoyments are just like surfing. I've kind of gotten that enjoyment out of what I get out of surfing through other people and just like culture and everything else. And maybe
you
that's
are in
just
the
me.
right business.
Right.
If you were trying to sell Stoke and Aloha and all that whole business, then having a surf shop is probably the right industry.
It
for
is,
you.
and I was a kid that like enjoyed being at a surf shop as a little kid, like at Tradewinds back in the day, and Birds and anybody else, Exile. I just loved cruising in, talking story, and I thought that was so cool. So when the time came around that I had the opportunity to do it myself, I was like, I'll try.
All right, so
And-
let me ask you something actually kind of the opposite of this now, because Miguel having the corporate life, it's like people are like surfing. It's like, oh, you surf the web? It's like, no, that's not what I was talking about.
Especially down
With
here.
when you talk about surfing, it's clearly about surfing. So
Right.
what about the life balance? Because in the work-life balance, because he has to go find like his life balance outside of work. You have almost like the life stuff
Right.
in your work. So do you get away from it? Do you like go
No.
fishing or like
no.
have, like,
Well,
a
I mean, it is
Everglades buggy or
right.
something to like hang out like inland or something?
right, and I've had probably two different versions of it. Whereas the first 8 years or so, I was sans having a child. And for the last couple years, or for 7 years, and the last couple years I have. And within that changes the perspective as well. It's part of your life. I mean, in the sense that both having a kid and not having a kid, it's part of your life. And the thankful part I am that when I worked for like my version of corporate America, which was for Quicksilver for about 5.5 years, that was still surf driven, but there was a lot more involved in it. That was a lot more structured. Whereas what we do here is got some structure, but there's a lot of leeway. But it is very much a part of your life every single day. So there is no days off. So there is that portion where you're like, you realize that you might go weeks or, months in season where you're just not really ever off, because even the days that you're off, you're still answering phone calls, you're still answering questions, you're still making things happen.
You're still responsible.
Right, because that paycheck ain't coming unless you make it come, unless you make it get there.
Absolutely.
So there is that like, oh, this has got to happen. But at the same time, you kind of like stop yourself when you get stressed and you're just like, but you're doing what you love, and you have to remind yourself, because in this process, in the last 20 years, there's been moments where I didn't like surfing. Like I stopped liking surfing because I was so part of the culture and what was going on. Like it wasn't fun anymore. And all of a sudden I kind of despised some of it. Yeah, it's weird because you're in it, but at the same time, like all of a sudden, those moments whenever there's good waves, you don't get to surf.
That is,
and then all of a sudden,
acutely aware of like the negative side.
Right, and then let's say sales aren't good. All of a sudden, you're not making
any.
any money, and then you're stressing, and finances hurt everybody. So all of a sudden, imagine that you're tied to something that's not making you money, and at the same time, you're not even getting to enjoy when there's waves. You're like, oh, this is hell.
That's tough.
Tough, and it's hard. So it's had its challenges, had its moments.
I'm sure you had those sort of like hard up and coming times where you didn't have the opportunity to be so valuable that you can be like, hey, look, see you at 10. I'll work late, but I'll see you at 10.
You know what? At the end of the day, if you can't work and you can't earn your money to like live the lifestyle you want to live, or earn the money to like go surfing or do anything you want, you can't live. So I've always given up kind of a little bit more for work, unfortunately.
Right.
Right. But it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make in order to continue the ball rolling.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You ever heard that? Like, what's that saying that people have? It's like Americans work to live and Europeans live, or I totally screwed that up.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you had it right.
But,
you had it right.
But you have like that sort of mentality. It seems like you keep that in perspective, and like you do really well at work. I know you to be like very career driven and talented when it comes to professional
Not necessarily
life.
living to just work. Right. You're working so that you can live.
That's the whole point. Because if I work and I don't have anything to live for, what do I do with it, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is you got to enjoy that one moment that you have out of work. That's the special moment, right? So I end up making the most of it. So that's why I ended up working. But you always have to make that sacrifice. There's always a give and take. Like you say, Chris, like there's going to be moments where you want to be out in the water, where you want to be surfing, where you want to be enjoying that, or you want to get away from it even, right? There's maybe going to be that one time where you don't want to hear about surfing. But you got to kind of be in it, right?
Or something.
You kind of have to do it. It's because work is work no matter what you have, right?
Right.
But you always got to make that time for surf, right?
Well,
At least for me.
It's what's going to fuel a lot of the rest. So maybe it's about people trying to gravitate towards things that are going to allow both, or it's, you work hard and you kind of just put your blinders on and you just do what you got to do so that you can go ahead and take the time that you want to do the things that you love. I mean, and listen, as long as you have a breath in you, you have an opportunity to go ahead and go towards the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
We only get one time around on this rock.
Absolutely. Or you could become a millennial, right? And then somehow figure out how to work from home, wherever you are in the world.
Make 6 figures.
Make 6 figures, right? They figured it out somehow. Right? That's
Not
what I
all
need
of
to
you.
figure out.
Not all of you. Don't resort.
I got to figure that out.
I mean, it sounds like a good thing
I'm
to
learning
figure
from
out
that.
if you could.
I mean, that's where it's going, right? Everybody's going remote.
Well,
so
I mean,
great.
so corporate life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of only get X amount of time off per year.
Yep.
You know where I'm going with this, Bradley.
Yes.
Yes. We're going into the next topic, which is traveling with surfboards. And we're talking about this today
Earlier.
because Yeah, actually, this guy, Miguel, and I are going to go to Costa Rica next week.
And you only made this decision just a couple days ago.
I made this, literally.
You know,
Day or
and
two ago.
but you know, as a South Florida surfer, this is something that, or even you know what, Florida surfer, this is something that is at this time of the year becomes one of those moments. I mean, you guys are young, early guns in a sense where you're just barely coming out of this spring movement and going straight into a trip where most people let like a month of madness kick in,
And
and all of a sudden they're like, I got to take a trip.
Yeah.
And it usually
This is
happens in like late May or mid May.
I thought I was the only one that did that.
Yeah,
I mean,
so I'm gonna
I guess that's the
blend-
thing,
it is-
right?
it is a
Of course.
thing.
Everybody
I'm
goes
gonna
like
blend
around
back
June,
into the
July,
last
and-
topic, which was the whole work-life balance. And I've been working a lot, and sometimes you just really need to have that balance restored. And so I was like, oh, this is not that many days, and it has a weekend in the middle, and I could probably
It's got to work. You can't force it.
right.
It's
And
got to work.
It all sort of the stars aligned, and it seemed like a good idea. So here we are, traveling with boards. So booked on American Airlines.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. I mean,
It's
traveling with boards for me has always been a struggle. That's the most stressful part of a trip for me, right? Because
I
to me, the
would think
boards
it
are my
depends on
biggest
the
story.
airlines, right?
Wait. I mean, traveling with boards meaning like picking out a board or going to the airport,
Or having the
No.
boards in the bags.
Exactly.
or like figuring out how to pack them literally, like
Oh.
with
Making
bubble
sure that
tape.
they get there without being harmed or being
Oh.
overly touched and stuff like that. I
I'm
mean,
gonna knock on wood because fortunately enough, the last couple years I've traveled, you know, I've never had a problem.
All right, so I think there's multiple aspects of this. Let me see if we
Seriously.
can outline this. We've got traveling with boards,
Yes.
packing them,
Uh huh.
oh, yeah.
choosing them, getting them onto the airline without much to do and expense.
Yeah.
My-
And or do you even pack any?
Oh, okay. That
I
would
mean,
be.
because I
don't
mean,
know. I don't know
Well,
what to
just
say about
just
that.
throw the whole thing out the window.
yeah, that's what I do.
I've
I
done
don't know.
it one
I don't
time.
I don't know.
I was going to a location that I knew had a lot
That
of
you didn't
surf
bring a
shops.
board?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I'd been there before a lot of times. I knew that there was a lot of surf shops.
Can we say at least country? We don't have to say break.
Yes, I was going to the Outer Banks, North Carolina, and
Not being specific at all.
Not at all.
and I mean that's there's
Don't tell us what street. It's fine.
50 some odd miles of Outer Banks, so I think you guys can go check it out for
You get
yourself.
great pictures.
Actually, imagine every single mile of it because it's gorgeous, and you should definitely go see it.
Never been.
So I went to a bunch of different shops, and I figured out which one had a board that I wanted to rent, and it was a great board, and it worked really good for me, and that I knew what I was getting into. Other places, I wouldn't be so confident. I normally prefer to bring my own boards.
Other places, as in down south from here, like in Central
Anywhere.
America?
I mean, it could be going to California.
Because
it
I've
could be
noticed, like going to Central America and like, well, specifically Costa Rica, I've gone to a bunch of surf shops and it's like they have like brand new, great surfboards and like at the prices that you would get them here in the States. And I would ask locals, I'm like, how? Like typically here in the States, you try to lead with clothing and have a little bit of surfboards to kind of offset like what gives it. But over there, it was like clothing was less and surfboards were everything. And I can't imagine the margins are that great, but they have, I thought, a pretty decent selection at certain places on the coastline.
The quality of the boards that I've found for rentals have been pretty good for the most
They've
part.
gotten better
They've
since the
gotten-
90s.
They've gotten pretty good. Now, the thing is that is it a short trip or a long trip, right?
Right.
If it's a short trip, does it make sense to pay $300 for the boards to travel with you, right? If you're going for the
Unless you have three guys, which is $100
Right.
each
Split
one of
board
you,
bag.
then it's $50 each way. Where you're just like, you know, it's my board, I will do that. And
Different
if you're
story.
the type of person that you know is kind of taking the next step past beginner and intermediate, that like can understand your board rails and fins, then whoa,
teeter totter.
you know, like that.
You want to keep what's comfortable with.
Right, you'll take it with you because you want to. I mean, unfortunately, down here we don't really get to explore a lot of our boards to its max potential.
That's true.
So you take it on trips because you're like, hey, I want to do this. I want to feel this. I want
There's
to check
boards
this
that I
out.
have in my closet are dusty, and they get dusted off when I go on a trip, or that rare opportunity in Florida where we get a really good swell. But even some, like they
So
just
rare.
won't. They're just not the appropriate board for here. They're too thin. It's made for a big barreling reef break, and well, we don't see those.
Right.
And there's nothing like having your own board at like your favorite break, right?
Right.
And especially getting off a plane. Now you're gonna get off a plane where we're normally used to smaller waves in a place that normally has bigger waves. right? So now you have to adjust to the bigger wave size and a new board. So there's two different factors going on instead of just saying,
Alright.
oh, I'm going to get
Right.
onto a new.
So let's just say that we
wave size.
prefer to do it. You want to take a board.
So,
Take
but
a
I would
board.
say that if you're beginner to intermediate, it might be cheaper because if you rent a board in Costa Rica or Nicaragua or any one of these places that have waves, it's like
Still-
$20 a day.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not really a bad option, but I think most people probably prefer to bring their own board. So that brings it to the next
I
level.
mean, I guess it
How
depends
do you
on the
pack
days,
it?
right? Because if you
How do
were
you
staying
pack- what do you
5,
choose?
if you were staying 7 days and it's $20 a day, you know, you had $140.
Still nothing like having your own board.
technically, yeah, if you were to bring your own board and you paid the fee, it's probably cheaper.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say much to that. but
No,
it's-
and listen, it's math.
Yeah.
It's
But-
black and white. You can't. It's
but
either
the-
right or you're wrong. You're right. You're wrong.
But
But
I
there's
wouldn't.
also
I
packing your own board.
I also
and
wouldn't
there's the
risk
tri-
a
the-
trip on it though, right?
Ah.
So that's the thing. So again, am
Right.
I going to risk $150 for the quality of my trip?
But you know how to surf. I'm talking about people that may not know how to surf
Correct.
completely.
Okay, no,
do
that's
they go
correct.
get a board over there, or
Yeah,
do they
yeah.
travel with it?
If you're a beginner, there's probably not very much reason to bring your own board.
Right.
Absolutely.
If you have boards that you like, if you have been thinking about surfing boards that you like at a particular spot, it takes on a whole other realm.
It really does, because especially if you're coming from this area, in a sense that you don't get to surf
Right,
certain boards and again feel certain rails and
It's a whole
board
Yeah,
altogether.
you have a
and,
board
like-
for a certain wave type,
Right.
and so you have it like in your quiver. It's a whole like rack of boards that you have that you get to ride for certain wave conditions, and you're like, oh man, I haven't got to take that one out in a long time. Time to buy a plane ticket and get that thing into some water.
Can we just get a surf pool here, please?
I don't even know if that would. Well, that's a whole other
I
thing.
mean, yeah, I know.
Oh man.
I know.
You're very good at introducing
I-
ideas that
sorry.
like take me so
Oh,
off
I
topic.
know. That's what I do. I'm the
I was
off-topic
there
guy.
for that too.
Yeah, you're very good at introducing the off topic that I like will just throw me like back.
Oh,
I was there for
Crazy.
the both topics of the off topic.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
but
But
yeah,
yeah, so if you do choose to bring your own boards, then there's a whole thing of packing them, which is a whole other realm of traveling with surfboards.
well, back in the day when
How
they
do you
had
do
the
it?
glass and fins, that
Oh
they
my
had
God.
the actual pads that you put on the glass
Yeah,
and
it's like a
fins.
styrofoam cutout.
Yeah, it was great. I thought it was so cool. I was like,
I thought so
yeah,
too.
but then all of a sudden it was like, really nowadays 3 board bag would have been just good enough for 1 board back
take the-
then.
yeah, 'cause you take the
right,
fins out.
Right. So now you can do 3 fins and whatnot. And
So how do you pack yours?
I've been lucky. I
you just
really
what? Just throw all of them in just like that?
I'm like,
Do you take the wax off?
No. You take wax
Oh,
off?
God.
Really? Before I
So back to
before
my
you took-
OCD's tendencies. Yeah. So you're gonna have to.
Man,
take
I just little
gonna-
towel in between and
no.
A towel.
gosh.
little rub
between.
some wax on top of it when you
Between.
get there.
No.
I mean, chances are I'm going from tropical to subtropical, so
Absolutely
it's not really
not,
that
no.
big of a deal.
No. What you're gonna need to do here is take all the wax
And I thought
off
my
your
OCD
boards.
was bad. Before you go,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I get the whole point of like if you got a lot of wax on there, it's got a lot of weight.
Have you ever seen me when I come into the shop and I'm looking for base coat and you don't have it and I have like a heart attack?
yeah.
It's because of this. Because I
Oh.
have stripped down my boards and I need base coats because I'm going on a trip.
People still use base coat, huh?
No, I love base coat.
No, we carry it still. Come on over. We
Big,
got carry.
big
We got
base
base
coat.
coat. It's
Yeah, I
fine.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
the
use it.
next step in my process would be after removing all the wax, I put them into board socks or
And then a
day
bag?
bags, and then I put them into the bag.
Jeez.
And then I take I'll take
Pictures of them?
No, I'll take
Hug them?
well,
I mean, you
There's-
might as well
there's-
sleep with them.
well
God,
I'll
this
take
is
a
so
I'll take a
weird.
soft cooler and I'll put it around all the noses of the boards, which is great for transporting anything you want to keep cool while you're on the trip. And then I'll stuff towels. I put swim fins under the nose so to keep the nose rocker intact.
Listen, I'm all about stuffing stuff
Yeah, that's-
into the board bag
yeah.
and just carrying whatever light stuff on your back and whatnot, but cooler and everything, huh?
Yeah, I put the cooler around the noses. Then I stuff the Churchill swim fins underneath the noses to keep the nose rocker from bending. And then in the tail of the board, I'll put any wetsuit top around the tails so they don't get any dings.
I've never thought of cooler because I don't feel like the beard lasts that long. It's like
It's
it
a
would never
great-
get warm.
Everyone's always
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, I wish I had something to keep them cool on a surf trip." It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I pack my boards in one.
They never last that long. They're done before they're even done.
Go to the
getting
supermarket on a long trip, pack it up. Going on day trips out to the on a boat or something, pack a cooler,
So is a towel in between the boards, is that acceptable as a good enough padding?
I
Is that
like
what's
to do,
going on?
I like to do a towel over the rails so that there looks like there's one surfboard.
Listen, I've
Actually,
seen them
we're going to the next thing here because is how to get your boards onto an airplane, minimum fees. Which is like
I usually
really like an
I
art
bring
and
coffee.
science.
I
Take
bring
flowers
in
to the-
Miami.
You're just gonna like show up with colada.
It's personality. It really is because you
Yeah,
got
you
to
gotta
figure
smooth
all
them.
these
You gotta
people
smooth
have
them.
an
I believe
opportunity
it.
to either hook you up or totally screw you over.
Yeah, you gotta
So if
Big
you
on the
show up
schmooze.
with a little coffee, like, hey, how's it going? Especially it depends on the time of day. For morning coffee, you kind of hey, and then like what's great is that they all have a nameplate. Remember your nameplates? You
Yep.
go ahead and you go, Betsy, how are you? How's it going?
Yep.
I'm pouring a little coffee myself. I'm trying to get this wake up thing going. Would you like some?
Yep.
I got you, girl. I got you. How's it going? What's going on? How's your weekend?
Meanwhile, the board bag is coming below your feet, underneath
Yeah.
the desk,
Yeah.
out of the
conveyor
line
belt.
of sight.
Right.
If you get the board bag underneath, and then the next question is, where you're traveling to? How many bags do you have?
Germany,
Well, I've got my surfboard bag. Surfboard,
the one.
singular.
But well, I guess this depends on companies because American Airlines will
Not
let
up-
you go to
always,
triple.
Always. Default to surfboard bag. It is a singular thing. You're not lying when you say it's a surfboard bag. It is a
It
surfboard
is just
bag.
one bag.
If they ask why it has so much stuff in it, it's all of your water sports apparatus.
Does this count as your first piece of luggage?
Sometimes it does. If it is, you just say thank you and you pay the $25.
Listen,
and
if you're on
move
JetBlue
forward.
and Spirit, none of this applies.
Never get nasty with them.
No,
None
you
of this
never get
applies.
nasty.
Never get nasty.
Never.
Absolutely
Never.
not.
Bring
That doesn't
coffee.
help anybody.
Look, no, they're not the ones making the rules. They're just maybe the ones misinterpreting.
Yeah.
I also recommend taking screenshots of their policy
yeah. Good
just
idea.
in case it does come
That's-
up in
money.
conversation. A lot of people don't understand. They're like, oh, this is overweight baggage. No, this is a surfboard bag. You have a policy. It costs $75. I have 2 boards in there. It's my
Where does it cost $75?
JetBlue.
Oh.
Oh, we're not going on there, right?
Nope. Other airlines, such as American, you pay through the nose for the board bag, but you can put as many as you'd like in there.
Right.
Which
Does
is
the JetBlue, is that where you really
yeah.
have to hide the whole like
That's why you have to do the-
board?
Yeah.
surfboard
Bag.
bag with the one towel over the 2 rails.
Which one are we going on?
American Airlines, which
Oh,
means
yeah.
we're going to pay through the nose and bring as many boards as we'd like.
Is it just you two?
Taking all of them?
So far. Anybody out there want to jump
Next
on this
week,
trip? We're going to
these
go to
guys are
Costa
going
Rica,
in.
little surgical strike.
Got a direct
That's a
message.
good
or
strike.
DMs, what they
Pavones.
call it?
Yeah,
Nice.
send me a
Oh,
DM or an email, and maybe you can come along.
Come on over.
Oh, you're just
We submit.
ThankYouSurfing@gmail.com, or you can go to ThankYouSurfing on Instagram and direct message, or Facebook, or Twitter, or I think that's pretty much it.
We're really doing that, huh? You just
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just
Yeah,
put it
just
out there. Okay.
Put it out there. It's like this.
Wow.
Put it on the wall. It's gonna stick.
Go from an
So-
SUV to like a minibus. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah. That's what we're gonna do. That's
You
fantastic.
put it out there. All of a sudden, everyone in Pavones
I don't
is
have to
pissed.
say yes to
Yes.
anybody that wants. You're the
What?
one dropping the spot. I said I was going to a country. Yeah, well,
You 4 people don't go to Pavones next week.
And one of them's my mom.
Locals will be pissed.
that's one of the things that we try to do here is not drop spots. So
Sorry.
I try to keep it very general. Gosh, you guys are
Probably not
totally
note
blowing
that
up
next
something that's in
week.
the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest left in the world.
Second.
Second.
Well, yeah, the other one is Chicama, which I'm going to name because I guess it's the #1 in the Guinness Book of
They've heard of that.
Yeah, so they probably heard of it. So let's move on. Packing boards, that's a whole thing. Choosing
It's a
boards
thing.
is a whole thing. Getting through the airline front line, it's a whole thing. Yada, yada, yada. A lot of us talked about taking trunks. You got a pair of board shorts.
Board shorts.
You're going to stuff them in your board bag when you go on a trip.
You taking 1 or 2?
I take a lot of board shorts. If I'm
Why?
going on like a 7-day trip, I'm probably taking every pair of board shorts I own, which is probably in the realm of 20.
That's a lot.
And I like to be dry. That's why. I like to be dry. I like to have a new set of dry trunks.
Is there
every
talcum powder involved in this whole thing?
I don't I don't mind talcum. I've done
Powder?
I've done Gold
It'll
Bond.
dry things up a little bit.
I don't. I like being dry and comfortable because like if you're gonna be in the jungle, you're gonna be on a surf trip. There may be some uncomfortable times. You might as well be nice and dry.
God, I might be on the totally opposite tip, and that might be the Inca in me. That's just like we're constantly sweating and constantly like just moist in general. Where I'm just like whatever.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm more like a Brad that I like to be dry, very clean.
Okay.
I have a buddy of mine that will take 45 board shorts and wear one, right? Somehow. And by the end of the trip, they're walking by themselves somehow.
That's
I can smell him coming around the corner. He's probably one of the guys watching right now. You
So
know who
I
you
mean,
are.
within that, because guys that surf a bunch on trips, chafing is
Yeah.
a
Oh,
that's
problem.
terrible.
And so do you find that there are board shorts, because there are certain board shorts that appeal to people for traveling and surfing a bunch more than others? Do you find that even works?
I mean, for the most part, I find anything that just stretches, right? That's what I look for. Anything that stretches. Now, I hear these things of these surf shorts or these surf underwears that you wear on their board shorts.
Right.
Right.
Really?
But I heard there's like things that you don't want to wear them on beach breaks, apparently.
Right, well,
Right,
yes,
which
yeah.
is where we surf
Yep, lots
because of the
times.
sand.
You
and
get the
things like
sand
that.
underneath them.
Yeah,
They
yeah. So I
stick.
haven't really worn any of those, right? But I hear they're very comfortable,
They are.
right?
Yeah.
So maybe I can consider those one of those days where I go to a reef break, but that doesn't happen very often here in Florida.
Yeah. So
I mean, is
that's,
it the difference
different
be-
shorts, different spots?
I mean, but is it the difference between, are you washing your shorts out so that with fresh water
Oh,
you're
yeah.
you're drying off in walk shorts, kind of hanging loose, your board shorts stray off, and then when you put it
walk
back
shorts.
on it,
Those are for walking. Board shorts
jeez.
are for riding a board. So
yeah,
now
I
you
know,
have
but
two
listen,
shorts.
you're not surfing all the time.
No, okay, I'm just
You're hanging
drawing
loose.
the distinction between shorts.
Yes,
That is
okay.
the topic.
Well, listen, when you're walking, when you're hanging out, and your casual shorts, let's say.
Depends
Fine,
where you
not
are,
walk
though.
shorts.
Depends where you are.
Casual shorts.
Absolutely.
We live in
because
South Beach, so it's a little.
South Beach is okay.
little
Like,
frou-frou.
let's say you go away to like a place that surfs all the time, right? You could be board shorts and a wife beater everywhere, all the time. Doesn't matter what time it is.
People wear
Right.
wife beaters still?
They do.
Well, yeah. When
Seriously?
you go
Is it-
abroad with friends,
Especially
like,
on trips. You're like, I save this wife beater just for
For
this
a
trip.
trip, absolutely.
Okay.
it's when you want to say 305
Can
without
we
saying
even say wife
305.
beater still? I mean, it doesn't even seem like
they
it's
don't wear
right.
them.
They don't wear him. They don't wear him. He's like all of a sudden very self-conscious.
He's like,
Yeah,
did I just say that?
I gotta repack
To the four people that are out there?
all my luggage needs to be
Not cool
repacked
anymore,
for my
huh?
trip.
Oh, wife beater's done.
But
Right.
I mean, I think there is a reason to have different board shorts for different reasons. So look, South Beach, very frou-frou. You're going to like hang out at the pool, the Delano, and have cocktails.
Right.
You're gonna wear trunks that are not necessarily the ones you would go on a surf trip with.
Absolutely. Personality.
This is like the one time that we actually agree
Yes.
on anything apparel
Yes.
related. Because wetsuits, you're like, beaver tails look so awesome. I'm like, you're an idiot. That's the least functional thing I've ever seen.
Fashion over function, right?
But I think I'm trying to bring the function into fashion. I'm like, look, if I'm supposed to look cool, then I don't need the super stretchy stuff. It's not like I'm trying to like pig doll into a barrel
Not here,
at
at
the
least.
Delano.
No.
So I don't need super stretchy
Right.
shorts.
So yeah,
I
you
can
got the
wear
shorts for the pool deck, you got the
Yeah.
shorts for the boat, you got the shorts for
That's
fishing.
exactly right.
You got the shorts for surfing.
the ones that my
If you're
mom
surfing on a
likes when
longboard
I'm
and
like
a
going
shortboard, I
to
get
a
it.
family thing.
Get it.
I'm
It's
like,
easily
oh,
7
yeah, my
different
mom
board
really
shorts.
likes. Mom really likes those ones. I put it with a collared shirt, and she like super likes it. Yeah, it's like you have to have different trunks for different stuff. Do I sound like a crazy person?
No, it's great. If grandma likes it, wear it.
You know, you have to
Wear
have
it.
different trunks for
Absolutely.
different purposes.
I
She
did,
only
listen,
tells you the truth, though.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta believe.
Toss those trunks if she doesn't like them.
Yeah. So and then riding different boards.
With those trunks?
Yeah. So I have to
blow my
admit, I have like one pair of shorts that's like inseam 18 inches, which is like really short for me. I like below the knee. That's my style.
Okay.
And when I wear those shorts, I feel like I surf more retro. It's
Like
that's-
knock-kneed, you're like,
Yeah,
you're
I
Donald
can't
Frank
help
Rider all of a
myself. I was
sudden.
like, they're like scalloped
Right.
lime green with like a blue stripe.
You're
and
like, why
stuff.
are my
I'm like,
legs so close? I don't even know. It's
I
my
don't
shorts.
even know. I was like,
My
where are they-
shorts are pulling my legs closer. Are they really? No.
Where's the paraffin wax? Going back decades.
It's organic.
Yeah, leash. By God, no. By gosh.
My leash made out of
Yeah, I'm
almond
like
milk.
changing all my vocabulary to be in 1950s and stuff.
Fads, styles.
I don't know. But it does
shoot, yeah.
influence, I think, how you feel. Actually, I want to throw
Well,
another
I
one at
kind
you.
of sell it here, so it's one of those where we have to.
I was feeling a little down this afternoon. Very intense week.
So you bought some board shorts here?
I put on a nice shirt.
Oh,
I like the shirt.
Yeah, it's a nice shirt. And I was like, you know what? I feel good.
there's an old school saying. It's dress the part that you want to play.
Yeah.
Something along those lines where it's like, and I've had that where I've just like totally like been like, you know what, I want to fucking kick ass today. Sorry, I just dropped 2 F-bombs. Well, an F-bomb and an A-bomb, sorry. But got into it and just been like, you wear what you wear.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you
You're
power.
feeling it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's get those pair of trunks. Do you have those trunks where you're just like feeling it? You're like, oh, it'd be like.
Yeah, there's nothing worse where you're feeling it and you go out there and you're not feeling it.
Yeah, your swagger.
All of a
going
sudden you're
on
like, oh, but the trunks.
I'm thinking of
But
those
the
white
trunks.
and black trunks. It wasn't Mickey Dora. It was
The bull.
the Bull.
Greg
At
Knoll.
Makaha.
Greg
Knoll.
Knoll.
You know, like, I mean, you got to know that after he puts those trunks on, he's feeling it again. I mean,
I know, and it was like a
even if he's sitting on the
and the
sofa,
best thing was like it was like a shoelace that kept his waist together.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And somehow he's charging like 20-foot Makaha that's mostly closed out, and his shorts are staying on.
yeah. So
His board's gone, but the shorts are
I
staying
mean,
on.
like to go board short stories here. The photo apparently that is missed is him taking off on the largest wave ever surfed up until, you know, like basically like Cortez Bank days.
right, without shorts.
With those shorts on. He went out and surfed that
Yeah,
shortly
yeah.
thereafter or right before or what
Right.
have you. And
Oh, he was that stubborn.
He
He,
was
was like,
feeling
I'm not
it.
leaving here without surfing this,
yeah.
even if it puts me down.
And so maybe it is the shorts.
You know, bravery in shorts.
I mean, it does a little something for you. I mean, it does
Listen,
a little
there's
something
power
for me.
ties, there's power socks, there's like all of it. They kind of empower you in one way or another.
You're
I
right
will
about that.
co-sign that all day.
Absolutely, you're right about that.
Listen, first surf shop, we sell power here.
Oh, what's trading places? Looking good, feeling good. You know, it's kind of like that.
It's true.
And it's a funny thing that it's a very like sort of superficial and artificial thing that can still somehow bring you some sort of like levity to your ego or whatever.
Yep.
And make you feel that much more confident surfing even. Which is why I guess, you know, you have different board shorts for different
Feelings.
different occurrences or different
Yeah.
events or
Listen,
whatever.
I try so hard to keep my board short minimum at the house. I mean, maximum at the house at 17. Like my max is 17, my minimum 17 too. Like I'm just like at that point where I can't bring
You're a
on
board
anymore.
short
But
hol-
it's so hard.
I actually have like
it's so hard. I really have such good ones, and I end up saving. I pack them, and I kind of like that vacuum pack and stuff like
Oh,
that.
you
Then-
do? Straight hoard
Yeah.
them.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty wild.
I actually have a bunch of bags right now that I'm looking to donate. So anybody that wants like my old collared shirts, interview clothes, and board shorts.
Medium shirt?
I've got
32 waist.
Yeah, I'm a 32, size
Alright.
large, generally.
Yeah, my board shorts really just they range from like sizes, right? So like I keep them depending on how much I gain weight and how little weight I am, depending what
Oh,
time of year
I've
it
done
is.
that before.
See, coming into the fall, I'm a little bit heavier. I haven't surfed in a while, right? Then you go into the fall, you start losing some weight. By the end of the winter, I got like 4 or 5 more
So
sizes.
you don't
lower
even
than-
have surf
know,
shorts
so-
for the currents?
No,
it's
it's
like
the time
by
of
the
the year.
season.
Yeah, it's by the season. That's how it goes.
By my weight scale.
Yeah, it's by the weight scale. So,
Which
it all
is
depends what time of
understandable.
the
Like,
year
when
it
I
is.
worked for Quicksilver back in the day, it was like we noticed that on that sizing scale,
Yeah.
that during the summer back
No way.
then, we used to drop off a lot during the summer. That during the summer, the smaller size runs would sell a lot more than the bigger, and during the winter, the bigger size runs would sell better than anything else. And a lot of that plays into like during the winter, we had people from the north that would come down. And during the summer, it was mostly locals that stuck around. And this was, again, like almost 15 years ago.
And they're bikini ready.
Right. Or, naturally all year round. But that's all was around was locals, and they were all like anywhere from 29 to 32.
That's pretty
during
crazy.
and during the winter it was 33 to 36.
How about that?
That's how I usually keep them. So, I mean, my board shorts range from about 32 to about 34, 36, right? Depending on how crazy it gets. But
That's crazy. That's a
yeah,
big. That's a
oh,
big
that's
swing.
a big swing. Yeah.
It's a serious summer.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's a serious
So crazy.
summer.
I have a good time.
You guys are
We
good.
have a good time.
So I think we got through all of our topics.
Hit them all.
Caleb, how many minutes or hours have we been doing this?
We're at
51 minutes.
Oh, let's wrap this thing up.
yeah,
We're getting under that. I mean, we're trying to always hit the one. I'm always going over the one, and I'm stoked on it that we do.
Yeah, I think. Do we miss anything today?
No, you just had someone who's really efficient. Didn't say much.
God, he is so efficient. He's
Yeah.
kept us within the time frame
I mean, that's
that we
his-
normally work with, even though we're late.
That's how he can manage to go to Costa Rica next week.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, so next week we're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
this.
How we doing this?
We're still kind of keep it misto as to what we got going on.
Because
but you guys
we
are gonna
don't know.
kind of know, but it's on. But at the end of the day, you guys are gonna be out there. I'm pitching.
What
trying
I
to
what I
pitch.
heard was Caleb is gonna make it all happen.
Yes.
We're gonna like have a
So
remote
this is
feed.
what we're pitching. Is we're pitching the remote feed where you guys are out there, and we're gonna
Caleb may be out there with us.
We'll figure out
Oh,
something cool.
that would be sick.
We'll figure out something
We're
cool.
gonna swing to you guys.
yeah.
We're gonna swing to you guys
yeah.
for the weather.
Miguel, me, and 2 howler monkeys.
We'll swing to you guys for weather.
Yes.
And then we'll bring it back to whatever it is that we're gonna talk about. It's
I
the first
wanna
time that we
s-
do
I-
this. It's
you know,
new.
I have to say, I kind of want to stay for the conversation,
Oh.
especially because I mean,
might
what's-
work.
I mean, are
We
we really
might be able
doing
to do it.
next week? Is gonna be ladies' night.
I think so.
Uh,
I mean, well, I can't. They haven't confirmed yet. I just,
well,
I
there's.
mean, we have
we're
it
not,
possible
we're not making
potential.
specific guest
I mean,
promises.
the
but
point is that I'm gonna miss it, and I want to be part of it in some way. So
it
we'll
might
figure
be
it
an
out.
Instagram exclusive. We might only have you in on the
Well,
Instagram.
Caleb, we
but
will
we're gonna figure
this
out. We'll figure out a
We will
way to
hack
put it
this.
He's
into
so mad he's
the-
not gonna be here
We'll,
next week.
we'll figure it out. It'll happen. We'll get something crazy. We'll be working on it
I
this
believe in
weekend.
Caleb.
I believe in him very much so.
All right, so this is Talk Story episode 14 in the books. It is April 13th.
13th, Friday.
I am Brad Wells from Thank You Surfing. I appreciate you guys all coming out and watching this all the time and following us on Instagram and on Facebook. So tell your friends, follow, subscribe, hit the little like bell because apparently that does something for you that makes everything awesome. Oh, on YouTube. Yeah, Caleb knows the stuff.
Ring the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell. I want to say thank you to our surprise special guest, Miguelito, who showed up just in the nick of time to be here and provide excellent commentary.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on the show. Appreciate it. Very cool.
Yeah, you did. You definitely didn't want to be on this, and
No.
you did, I think, an awesome job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
kind of flowed.
Thank you.
That kind of did flow.
Chris,
Hey, Christian de la Iglesia, first surf shop, Division Wynwood. Stoked that we made this happen. Let's do it next week.
Caleb, thanks as always. There, guys. Peace.